Welcome back to Knifecraft, everyone. So in today's episode, I've got to do a few things. I need to straighten out the blade and the handle a little bit to right where I want it to be, and just finish up the edge of the blade so I have less grinding to do. Once that's all set up, I'm going to basically begin the process of grinding, getting a smoother surface and trying to get a nice knife edge going on there. After that, what we'll do is heat treat the blade. We're going to quench it first in oil after we get it really hot, but then it's going to be extremely brittle. So we'll have to put it in the oven at 400 Fahrenheit for about an hour. And then after that, I'm going to do a bit more grinding, get that knife sharp edge on there. And what we'll do after that is polish it so it's nice and shiny. All right, let's get started. So I'm just waiting for the knife to heat up, and I know a few of you have been mentioning in the comments about getting sort of bigger tongs or pliers to hold the knife. So I've been using these smaller guys here, so I don't have as much leverage. At the place where they have the railroad spikes, they do have some tongs. I haven't been back there recently, but they were kind of old and really bent. So I think I'll have to go back and see if he's got some more. But in the meantime, I've got these channel lock pliers here. So they've got a bit longer handle on them, so they'll give me a little bit more control when I'm working on the knife today. One of the hardest parts is trying to get it all nice and straight. So every time you hit it, it wants to curve. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so time to do some of the grinding. Get some of the metal fragments off. So now I'm just going to leave this here to cool, and when it's ready, what we'll do is clean it up a little bit. So we're going to use a belt sander to just take off some of the rough edges, make it smooth, and get the rough grind in place. And while we're waiting for the knife to cool, I thought I'd let you guys know I'm having another giveaway contest. So I'm at over 400 subscribers right now, which just blows my mind. I think that's awesome. I really appreciate all of your support here online. So it's a token of my appreciation. I'm having a contest, and I'll show you what's in the prize pack. So first off, as you can see, we have this vintage looking metal lunch pail. Actually has the steam whistle logo on it. It's a Pilsner that's made in Toronto. So it's really cool, this metal lunchbox. And what's in the lunchbox, you say? Well, let's open it up. Well, first off, you notice my channel magnet is stuck to the top there, so you get that. And then, because we're coming up on winter, and I know you guys love the outdoors, so there's a few things to help you this winter. So I've got this cool hat and work glove set here, and they're nice and warm and insulated. And while you're out on the trail, a cool mug. Hey, look at that. It's a giant mug, so that'll hold whatever, your tea, your coffee. Since I spent a lot of time on wild edibles this spring, summer, and fall, I thought I'd throw in some herbal tea. So organic ginger tea. It's really good for your stomach. And when you're out and about and you want to play some cards with some friends, I've got these white-tailed deer camo cards. So what do you have to do to enter in the contest? Well, for one entry, please put down below "I'm in," so I know that you want to be entered into the contest. And for 3 additional entries, what I'd like you to do is I have 5 questions to ask you, and if you have a channel, I'd like you to do a VR and answer the questions for me. I think it's a great way for us to get to know each other a little better and for your subscribers to get to know you too. So I will answer some 5 questions and then you'll follow along. If you don't have a channel and you wish to get 3 extra ballots, you can answer the questions down below in the comments, or if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can send your answers to me in a message. So what 5 questions do I want you to answer? And of course, I'm going to answer them myself. Well, here we go. Question 1. If you were on a deserted island, what is one luxury item that you could have that you could not live without? My answer to that question would be a radio. I love the radio, and that's sort of a contact with all the rest of the world that you could have. So if you are on a desert island, that's a luxury item that I would bring. Question 2. When you're out in the woods or in the wilderness, what items, leave it to 1 or 2, that you would take with you that you just couldn't do without? Things that I always carry with me, like pretty much all the time, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's a short trip or a longer trip, will be my knife and a ferro rod. That way I've got a knife for all the useful things you can use a knife for, and ferro to make fire. And you can certainly use the back of the knife to make that fire. Question 3, what's your favorite book? Well, I'd have to say my favorite book would be Joseph Boyden's The Orenda. That was an amazing novel, so you should pick it up sometime. Question 4, do you have a secret talent? Well, my secret talent is that I can certainly imitate a lot of different birds and animals. So that's always been something I've been able to do. I've also been able to imitate other sounds as well. I guess I'm a crow or a raven at heart. Question number 5. What advice would you give your teenage self? Well, I would have told myself, don't sweat the small stuff. It'll all eventually fall into place how it's supposed to be. Well, there you go. So those are the answers to the 5 questions. I'll put the questions above in the box above, just below the title of the video there, just so you know what questions I've asked. And again, if you have a channel and you want to get 3 extra ballots, please answer those questions in video format. If you don't have a channel and you wish to participate as well, you can put your comments down below or send them to me in a message. And remember, don't forget for a ballot to put that you're in the contest down below in the comments. I'll be announcing the winner in a couple of weeks from now. All right, so I'm going to go now and check on the knife and see if it's cold enough to handle to start the grinding. Okay. Oh yeah, that's handleable. All right, let's get grinding. So here what I'm using is a belt sander, and we're going to sort of take off some of the rough edges of the knife. Well, I'm all done my rough grinding. It's pretty hot, so as you saw in the video there, I put on some gloves. It's looking pretty good. Polished up the end here. There's a few little deeper grooves, I guess, my errors from forming the blade, but I don't know, they'll give it some character. Like I said, this is just sort of decorative right now, my very first attempt at a blade. So next what we have to do is make this blade really strong. So we're going to have to heat it up till it's bright orange and then quench it in oil. So you can use vegetable oil or motor oil, whatever works for you, and it can be new oil, old oil, doesn't really matter. So we'll heat it up, we'll quench it in the oil, and then we'll put it in the oven at 400 Fahrenheit for about an hour. So here I've got some vegetable oil. Just going to fill up this jug. See, it's nice and hot. That's cool. All right, time to take it to the oven. All right, so I'm gonna put the knife here in the oven on this baking tray, and we'll let it sit in here for an hour. It's got dark outside since I've heated up the knife, but the knife turned out really well. I heated it in the oven as you guys saw. Now I've got it in the vise up in here, and I'm going to use this angle grinder here with the wire brush attached to it to really get off some of this black stuff there to get it nice and shiny. And then I'll be using progressively smaller grits on, it's just sanding it down so it gets nice and shiny. So I had an 80 grit on the belt that you saw earlier in the video. I'm going to go do a 120 and a 220 and then progressively step down from there. Alright, so you can see this is nice and shiny, but you can still see some of the sanding marks there. So now I'm going to use 120 grit on the belt sander for a little bit to get those out, and then I'm going to go down from there. Now I'm going to use 220 sandpaper and work out those grooves. It's coming along well. Next I'm going to use a 600 grit. Well, now I'm really happy with where I am with the sanding. I'm going to take it over to the buffing wheel and just polish it a bit. There we go, guys, a finished knife. You know, she's not perfect, but really cool to have something that I made myself. Let's go sharpen the edge. All right, let's try to sharpen this bad boy up. So I'm going to start with the coarse material to work on the grind. Again, I'm no expert at this, but we'll try. Next, I'm going to use the whetstone to do the final edge on this. Alright, it's got a beautiful edge on there. Don't really know if you can see that, but it's nice and sharp. Let's do a test or two. Alright, cutting through paper. Oh yeah. And like every good infomercial, time to cut the tomato. Oh my gosh, awesome. You can see it's not really squashing it or anything, so we got a beautiful edge on here. Cool. And as a finishing touch, I just put a little bit of beeswax on there. Stuff that you'd use to kind of wax wooden bowls and things like that after you make them. Just adds a bit of water repellency and will stave off the rust for a while. Well, we're all done. That was quite the journey. That was lots and lots of fun. I can't tell you how much I really enjoyed this project and how cool it is to have something that I made that's actually functional. So remember, we started out with this old thing, this railroad spike, this rusty railroad spike. Now we've ended up with this beautiful knife. It's not perfect, but I think it's pretty darn cool. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little mini series on Knifecraft. It's my first venture into making a knife and doing some blacksmithing. So I'm hoping to have more adventures like this in the future. All right, guys, have a great week as always. And don't forget, if you're in the contest, to put "I'm in" below in the comments and do your VR response for me. And don't forget to put the link down below for 3 extra ballots in the contest. And if you don't have a channel, you can answer the questions below or in a private message. Take care, guys.